I know you've been told that you have to be a master storyteller. I know that you've been told that you have to use the hero's journey or the story circle or the story this or the story that. And you have to be great at storytelling to do good business. I know you've been told that. Well, guess what? That's wrong. You do not have to tell great stories. Great stories are not always great for your marketing. But lucky for you, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. What's up, storytellers? Welcome back to the Storytelling Lab. This is episode 159, and you weren't originally supposed to be with just me, but our guest had a family emergency this week. We will get him rescheduled as soon as possible, but I'm excited. I'm excited because this is a topic I'm very passionate about. And I know that we hear all the gurus talk about how you have to be a master storyteller. You have to use this formula. You have to be able to do this to tell great stories. Well, I want to ask you a question. I want to start off by, let's do a little exercise. I want you to think about this for a second. I wish this is interactive. If you're watching it live, you can chime in. Think about your favorite filmmaker or just a filmmaker that you're loving right now. Think about your favorite author. Then think about your favorite content creator. And, if we talk about filmmakers, it's usually the same names that tend to come up, the Scorseses and Spielbergs of the world, Greta Gerwigs, people like that, whomever it is. I want you to think about, can you be them? Could you do what they are doing? The second part of that question is, do you need to? I'll go ahead and answer for you. No, unless that's what you're trying to do. Most of us are doing our own work, running our own businesses. We don't need to operate at the level of a master storyteller to connect with our audiences on an emotional level in a manner that inspires action. You don't. But we have people in our space. And listen, this is my space. I'm a storytelling coach. I'll fall on the sword. Me and my contemporaries telling you that you got to tell great stories. But we as humans, overthink things. We overcomplicate things because it can't be that simple. So you have to have this 17-step formula. You have to do it exactly like this. And you don't. Great stories are not always great for your marketing. Okay, Rain. That's a provocative stance considering the work that you do. Let's talk about it a little bit. Well, here's a story that's actually happening in real time. I went viral this week. That sounds so just cringy to hear that or to say that out loud. But I did on TikTok. I think it's currently at almost 900,000 views, almost 1 million views. Has happened to me before. I've got probably 2,000 followers in the past week. You can look it up if you want to. The topic was still somewhat in the storytelling space, but it was on a trending topic. It's a little controversial, whatever. You can look it up. That's not the point. Let me tell you what's happened since going viral and gaining a few thousand extra followers. It ain't always the ones you want. Most of the time, it's not the ones that you want. Especially if that video is not perfectly aligned with what you're trying to do, the impact that you're trying to have on the world, the change you're trying to make, the audience you are trying to target. So when that happens, you get a lot of views, you get a ton of engagement, you get a ton of likes, you get a ton of follows, which is what they all tell you need. This is what they all tell you why you should be a great storyteller, so that you can get people's eyes, you can get their attention, you can hook them, you can do all the things that the storytelling gurus are telling you to do. I had all of that this week. What did it lead to? Yes, 2,000 new followers. Are those the right followers? Are they interested in my book? Are they interested in my storytelling services? I don't know. Probably not. I can tell you by scanning a few of their profiles, absolutely not. That's not your goal, and it shouldn't be. You don't need to just be out there being a great storyteller for great storytelling's sake. I created a viral piece of content, and I tested it. I intentionally did this knowing it probably or it had the ability, the potential to go viral, and it did. And I tested this not so we could talk about it, but we're going to talk about it because my findings are interesting. Recently on the on the podcast, I had Mackenzie Heflin, who's a great storytelling coach and expert on TikTok as well. She had this great line that was so simple where she said, I don't want to go viral anymore. I don't want to go viral because it's not what you should aim to be doing, because it doesn't bring in what you want to bring in. It doesn't bring in your people. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to cultivate a community of people who need what you have, who see the world in a way that you do, or that you can use the way you view the world and the work you do in it in a manner that helps them. You're not trying to tell great stories and go viral for no reason. I'm a co-founder of a startup currently, and without going too deep into details, we were hiring a COO, Chief Operating Officer, and because of the nature of what we're building, the impact it seeks to have, I'll also tell you it's in the storytelling space. Some of you may be familiar with it and know what we're talking about. We're in the middle of a reset and a rebrand, so more news soon. But because of the nature of the product and the impact it seeks to have, we are attracting a caliber of people that is probably, how can I say this, of great magnitude, of great quality and experience. We're a very new company. We're new co-founders. We're punching above our weight in terms of the people who are applying for the jobs that we are offering, if that makes sense, considering where we are, etc. Well, that's a good thing. But what we learned very quickly is that it's not about finding a great teammate, or a great player, I should say. It's about finding a great fit, the right fit for your company, for your team, in terms of culture, in terms of specific ability. It's not about finding the superstar. And anybody that's worked with a team, especially on film sets, anything where you have to depend on people day and night, and you have to be close and go through the trenches together, that's what you want, someone you can depend on, not the rock star. This is a similar concept. You're not looking for a rock star story to tell. You want one that connects with people on a deep level. Great fit is better than a great story. You can tell a good story that communicates to your right people, and that is a great fit. All right, so let's talk about how exactly to do that. There's 3 different ways that we're going to approach that. 1, listen to your audience. You got to listen to them. 2, use simple storytelling strategies and techniques. And 3, you need to establish a long-term strategy for content creation so that you deliver those stories and continue that consistent connection with the community that you are cultivating. So when we think about listening to our audience, there's a great old school blog. I mean, I'm sure many of you have heard of this, Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans. That's what you're ultimately trying to find, is people that are super fans, as Pat Flynn calls them. Kevin Kelly said, a true fan is defined as a fan that will buy anything you produce. These diehard fans will drive 200 miles to see you sing. They'll buy the hardback and paperback and audible versions of your book. I have super fans. That sounds, pretentious, but like, I have people that have bought multiple versions of my book. That's what we're trying to do. They'll purchase your next figurine sight unseen. They'll pay for the best of DVD version of your free YouTube channel. They will come to your chef's table once a month. If you have roughly 1,000 true fans like this, also known as superfans, you can make a living if you are content to make a living, but not a fortune. See, most of us are just trying to do what we want to do, make a living. We're not trying to be these superstars that we often look up to or try to emulate. Listen, I fully believe success leaves clues, but I also think we shouldn't build a model where we are trying to emulate exactly what someone whose sole purpose and sole mission is to tell those stories. Martin Scorsese does nothing else, right? He's not a carpenter who happens to make movies. He's been doing this for half a century or more. This is what he does. Yes, we can pick apart little things from him or them or people like that, But that's not ultimately how we're going to connect with our audience in a deeper way. You don't have to be a master storyteller. You want to be a community leader. You want to be in touch. Like Mackenzie Heflin said on the show, I don't want to go viral. I want to build a community that I am genuinely helping. The way you do that is by listening to them. What are they struggling with? Right? What do they need? Once you start to understand who your community is based on the way you see the world and see the way you do the work that you do in the world, then you go to step 2, and which is to, yes, understand simple storytelling techniques. You just want to move people emotionally. You don't have to have this perfect outline, this perfect formula. I say it all the time. If everybody follows the same formula, then every story will stay the same, and no audience member, no community member is going to know why they should listen to your story versus my story. You should have your tone, your voice to it, and you should communicate to them, your audience, your community, in a way that they need to hear it, right? They may not be receptive to, if we're talking about films, horror films or comedies, right? You have to also understand and empathize. That's step 1. Remember how they need to be communicated to. Some people are going to want it short, right to the point. Some people like it more colorful. So if you're just studying what the gurus tell you, you're not listening to your audience, so you're not telling your stories in a way that they need to receive them. You feel me? Simple storytelling. Do not fall into the formula trap. Simple. Problem, journey, resolution. Little arc. You don't need all the 17 steps of the hero's journey. You don't need John Truby's 22 steps or anything like that. You just have to understand transformation, change. I once was lost and now I am found. That is a story. And you pump emotion in there by communicating to what they need, what they are struggling with, what they care about, and they're locked in. That's what you want. You want their attention. You want their engagement. So, emotions drive actions, and people justify it logically. You have to identify, 1, what is their problem? What are they struggling with? 2, what is their desire? What do they want, ultimately? Of course, they want to overcome the problem, but to what end? What do they really want? And then 3, what do they need in order to get that thing? Problems, desires, and needs. Then, as we've already mentioned, you need to find your voice and then tell your story. If you don't know what your voice is, you won't know how to tell the story that you need to, and you'll do the trap that we're talking about, emulating other people. You'll talk like Gary Vee. You'll talk like Alex Hormozy. And then you're just a Gary Vee and Alex Hormozy knockoff. And that's not you. That's not you. You got to find your authentic voice. How do you communicate in a different way? And it's a recipe. You got to experiment with it over time. But you don't find it by only sticking to what's on the back of the box. You got to get messy. You got to get out there in the lab and play around yourself. What works? Tweak this knob. Turn it back down when it doesn't resonate. Test, test, test. Back to my startup. That's exactly how we have to approach when you're building a company. It's the same thing when you're creating a personal brand or you're creating marketing materials and messaging for your company. You have to test. See what resonates. See what doesn't. Dial this knob up. Turn this one down. Adjust. Do not stick to the perfectly laid out formula of what's going to turn you into a master storyteller that somebody like me is telling you to use and to pay them to show you how to use. It's here. You already have it in your heart. You already have your voice inside of you. You already have what you know how to do in your head. Put those together and then tell a story about it. Stories create connections. That's why they're so powerful. They make someone feel seen, heard, and understood. That connection is so important to us because we have to communicate with people to establish the connection. That's the storytelling part. And we have to have established a connection in order to have human collaboration. That's the conversion part. That's when they say, yes. Could you coach me? Yes. I would like to buy your toothbrush. Yes. I would like to read your book, right? You have to communicate with them in a way that makes a connection. They feel seen, heard, and understood. And then you open up the opportunity for that collaboration. Your voice is the vehicle in which you deliver that connection. the way you approach it. It's not for everybody. That's why you hear that all the time. Like, marketing to everybody is marketing to nobody. That's why. You have to find the people that want to hear what you have to say, not just people that want to hear great stories. There is opportunity just for that. Most of us that listen to the show are small business owners, solopreneurs, nonprofit marketers or communicators, personal brands, influencers, etc. Right? We're not just trying to be great storytellers for great storytelling's sake. We're trying to build a business. We're trying to create a product. We're trying to deliver an idea, or we're trying to offer a service. And we're trying to use storytelling in order to promote and share and hopefully sell those things. Yes? The third part and the final part of understanding how to tell the stories that you should be telling to the people that you serve is establishing a long-term strategy for content, for growth. Slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to put the effort and energy and money that someone like Gary Vee or Alex Hormozy puts behind it. And you probably don't have it. I don't have it. It's hard enough for me to do Storytelling Lab content and Rain Bennett content. So let's be realistic. Yes, again, success leaves clues. But it's really about you consistently showing up for that community so that they feel that they can depend on you. It's not about you busting them over the head every single minute of every single day just with random content that's not aligned with your purpose. It's that, Seth Godin said this once. Actually, it was live at a very small event that I was at. He was speaking, and this was before everybody understood that Ellen DeGeneres, the persona she actually has. And he said, I hear that Ellen is not a very nice person. If you say that to a fan of Ellen, they get really upset. And he was talking about the flaw in the concept of authenticity. He said, it's not about authenticity. If Ellen showed up as her authentic self every day, nobody would love her. It's about consistently providing and delivering the value that you uniquely do. So Ellen did consistently show up and do the little dancey dance that people love so much, at least for a period of time. That's what we're looking to do, is to consistently deliver value, not just be entertaining, right? Long-term growth, building a strength in that community. So it genuinely is a community, and other people are sharing ideas. I have a client that's a rare cancer foundation, and I do a bi-weekly show for them called Luncheon with the Experts, and I host a top doctor in this rare cancer, and we have 100 people or more from all over the world that tune in live. And the power of that show is twofold. One, the information that they get from the expert and the answers to their question, but two, just as equally as powerful to them and impactful is the shared stories and shared experiences that they get from others like them in the community. That's what we're trying to cultivate. You want the people in your community to also be helping each other out and have that bond, that strength. And you are the one that has curated that. That is the power that we're after. That is what understanding how to communicate with people emotionally can do. And that's how you get people from the outer circle of just your connections to the middle concentric circle of your community, and then finally to that core, that center circle of your clients. That's the funnel, right? That's the conversion funnel. And if you really think about the 3 steps that we've talked about today with listening to your audience, understanding simple storytelling, and executing a long-term strategy. Got a little twist for you here at the end. Let's break those down. Listening to and understanding your audience. One word, empathy. Understanding simple storytelling techniques. One word, attention. You grab their attention with that. And 3, executing a long-term consistent strategy. Memory. Empathy, attention, and memory. Guess what, folks? That's exactly what great stories are made of. Great stories, for great story's sake, is not what you're looking to do. You're looking to tell stories that are a great fit for your audience. Tune in next time for episode 160 of the Storytelling Lab. Think about this week. Think about finding your voice. Think about understanding simply how your audience needs to be spoken to, the stories that they crave, that they need, that play to their problems and desires and needs. And I promise you, you will start